Staying on that I-15 road trip through southern Utah. As promised, we're going to share Leeds, Utah with you, this historic town that is nestled in between Silver Reef Ghost Town and Harrisburg Ghost Town, Utah, because the connection is very historic. With its CCC camps and all of its mining history, come along and join the adventure.
Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we're going to explore Leeds, Utah. Now we talked about Leeds, Utah when we filmed Silver Reef, and also when we were looking at Harrisburg in the last video. But this behind me right here was the schoolhouse that was built in late 1800s in Silver Reef. And that building was moved here early 1900s. And this is the old schoolhouse from Silver Reef. It has been completely restored and now is the Leeds Town Hall. But in the 1950s, this served as a church, but then remodeled, and now the Leeds Town Hall. As you can see, there is an old police car over there, or older police car I should say, and a tremendous amount of history on these placards. Now these placards were built out of a pioneer home that was here. But this stone, all of the stone, was built a house in Leeds. Now this main street, as you can see, we've shown before, but Silver Reef, the ghost town that we filmed, Leeds, where we are at, and of course the historic Adams House and Harrisburg, Utah. All of these are close to each other, and as promised, we're going to take you on a little tour of this historic pioneer town. Old schoolhouse from Silver Reef, Utah. So all of these benches that are here at this location in front of the town hall are Alma Angel's old home. It was scheduled for demolition. The home was built in 1856, and instead of just tearing it down and leaving it, I took the stone and made it into all of these markers, which is a great thing. So the history of the three towns, Harrisburg, Silver Reef, and Leeds, is intrinsically connected. Harrisburg and Silver Reef are ghost towns today, while Leeds persists like many locations in the arid west. Water and its availability and accessibility was the determining factor in whether a town lived or withered away. Now, one of the things about Leeds is in the 1930s and 40s, Leeds produced peaches. So it provided the produce throughout the west. And those peaches were shipped out of Cedar City, Utah, which is of course north of here. And they were shipped there by rail. Now in town here you can see, just like any other town, a trunk or treat, a chili cook-off, and also a zombie walk right here in the little town of Leeds. Okay, Main Street in Leeds. There's a few historic buildings on this corner, which is Main Street and Center, on every corner. But this one over here, right by this giant Leeds RV park, motel and tent sites, is going to be this beautiful home. Now this is the Sarah Ann and William Sterling home. Quite historic, as you can see what's in front of it. I had the camera zoomed in there a little bit. Beautiful old stone home. And of course, another stone structure made from that old pioneer home that was here. Now, William Sterling, a prominent and early settler of Leeds, came into what seemed, for the times, a fortune. Sterling, a farmer and winemaker, was also the chief executive officer for Leeds Water Company, as you can see here. And in 1872, a cold winter day, while riding his horse through Silver Reef, he observed that the Christie Mill, a 5-stamp mill, silver ore processing mill, was overheating, and as a result of the routine water supply, it was freezing solid. And so what was going to happen, it was going to overheat, and an explosion was inevitable. He moved swiftly in action, and he opened the head gates, which directed water from the Leeds ditch system to cool the overheating mill. A disaster was averted, and the owners of the Christie Mill demonstrated their gratitude by placing him on payroll for a year, and he was able to build this amazing home with the proceeds from that salary. A beautiful old home here in Leeds, still an active residence. And what is that? An old wagon. Looks like a, I don't know, some kind of a churn on top of it from mills or something. Now another placard built here, again out of the stone from that home. Every one of these was built from that home. So the earliest settlers in Leeds used innovation and hard work to divert water from Leeds Creek to their homes and fields of industry. The town pioneers carefully studied the layout of the land, and between creek and settlement, they selected a route in which they would transport the water to Leeds. So you can see here, water is life, the shovel is divine, from ditches to pipes. They used to dig ditches by shovel just to get the water to these locations. And again, extremely important, as those stamp mills would overheat and they could cause explosions and disaster. Now this structure here, very dated, right on the road here, but this is the tithing office. So the tithing office, where, of course, members of the Mormon church at the time would bring their tithings. Now, this building was built in 1891 to 92. It was the Leeds Tithing Building. Was most likely constructed by renowned stonemasons in the area, Willard McMullen and Sons. McMullen also built the homes in Harrisburg. That was the last video that we put up. And it says so right here on this placard. You can see farming and ranching was extremely popular here. And sour gum making, broom making, fruit and vegetable stands along Main Street. So it was all here, and wine was used in the Mormon sacrament and that communion, basically. So during the 1800s, some of the early settlers of Leeds were winemakers and paid their tithings with wine made from local grown grapes. So not just money transacting to support, but also wine to help support the church, and a lot of other goods were used and transferred right here at this tithing building. Built around this wall, and again, very interesting structure, and it looks like it's actually a home, as there are cars in the driveway. Another placard. Now this is the McMullen House, or the Mormon Hotel. Between 1878 and 1881, the renowned stonemason of the day, William G. McMullen, again from over in Harrisburg, and his sons built the house on the corner for Brigham Young, one of his oldest homes, still standing in Leeds. It has undergone many changes. Now it has 18-inch thick rock walls, and the ceilings are 9 feet high. In the late 1800s, the house was referred to as the Mormon Hotel, as many church authorities visiting from Salt Lake City would stop by and stay with BY, I'm assuming Brigham Young, and McMullen's. And that placard has a tremendous amount of history on it, as all of them do. It would take me a full day to read it all and share it with you, but these are the important parts. This is a very large home, and again, been converted and refurbished many times.
Now, as we were headed back across the street towards the tithing office, we met the owner of the tithing office. He owns this home with his wife. His wife lived in this building many years ago because her dad worked as an instructor at the CCC camp, and we were lucky enough to receive a tour.
Oh, she's 90 now, so
Wow.
it's been a long time. This was taken about the time they moved in this house. Kids were in the CCC, and this right here is her dad, my wife's dad.
Oh, wow.
So that's what they look like.
Now, his wife's dad was an instructor at the CCC camp, so that means they lived here for some time. Probably in the 30s is what the date would be, is when that CCC camp was around. But the gentleman that was giving us the tour restored this whole location and brought the ceilings back to 11 feet. There was a lot of work to be done here, and he's done a great job. But look at this old photo. That would be his dad, second from the right with the beard. And that photo shows the natives dressed up like cowboys and the cowboys dressed up like natives, as he worked with the, the natives in the area and around the state of Utah. Now, this museum, I guess is what it is now, is very personalized. A lot of family memorabilia. We really appreciate this tour. We really enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed it as well.
So Leeds, Utah, and all of its history, and all of the stone from Silver Reef and all the wood that was used to build the buildings from those ghost towns, a lot of it was transferred right here to the Leeds Historic CCC camp. Now, in the Depression year of 1933, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt initiated the Civilian Conservation Corps. This program provided much needed employment for the nation's youth, 18 to 25-year-olds, and the men had to complete 8th grade and have 3 to 4 family members dependent on their paycheck. The men received $30 a month, of which 25 was sent home to their families. The men at this base camp developed the Oak Grove campgrounds and built bridges and constructed roads from Leeds to St. George. They were instrumental in preserving and protecting forest, waterways, and natural resources. And you can see this camp. It was a pretty good sized camp, but a lot of the ghost town stone was used to build these buildings. And I'm going to share those buildings with you. And these buildings are going to be right down in this area here in this photo. And a lot of the barracks don't remain anymore, as that's basically part of the town of Leeds. And we'll see some of those buildings up there on the top as well. So here and up here. So let's go ahead and take a look at these buildings. Now remember, these buildings that were built in the 30s are made of the stone from the mid-1800s from Silver Reef Ghost Town, an old mining town that we shared with you a couple of videos ago. Okay, so the first building here, as you can see the stone. Whew, a big moth just hit me in the head. You can see this was the area, I believe this one was where they used to pay the people in the CCC camp. So this was one of the headquarters where they would come and get pay and get registered for their pay. Very cool in here. These stone buildings stay very cool.
Now, I feel like this is a little bit of lost history because I've talked to quite a few people about this, and they're not really familiar with the CCC camp. It really did help the economy in getting the United States back on its feet with much needed progress in the parks and rec area, the building of dams and waterways, and of course, I guess water systems for cattle in the Midwest. So these buildings have a great relationship with old ghost towns and recycling of material. And these CCC camps were a very strategic, I guess, project during the Great Depression, all the way up to its disbursement in 1942 during the war efforts. And this, I think, is a great tour of what is left of this CCC camp, because there was 4,500 of them across the United States. That is quite a few, employing up to 3 million men. Most of these men, single, young men between 18 and 25. Leeds has a tremendous amount of history, and we really wanted to share the connection between Harrisburg Ghost Town, Silver Reef Mining Silver District in Ghost Town, and of course Leeds, Utah, as they all are connected within about a 5-mile radius of each other. And we hope you enjoyed this adventure. And until the next one, goodbye from Weekend Escapades.